Hello everybody, my name is the Watching Relic, and today you're gonna have to deal with the fan noise because it's 83 degrees in my room. Amazingly, that's not even that bad of a temperature. It's been way worse over the past few weeks or months or decades. I don't know how long it's been, but it sucks, and I'm scratching some stuff out the lens of my camera. There we go. So today we're taking a look at the new version of Eaquaydo. So as far as like inspirations go for why I decided to update him, nothing too specific, just a general dissatisfaction with the way he used to be. And also the sort of pressing fact that this is kind of the closest thing I have to a fan favorite, which I always found weird because I never thought he was particularly good in his old form. He's not my self-mock or anybody particularly important. But his review and slideshow, I guess just through the magic of the YouTube algorithms, have a lot more views than most things on my channel. So anyhow, hopefully the audio's okay, and let's get into this guy, because nothing's really changed with the story or anything. He's still a wizard from an ancient planet somewhere. I have changed the name of that planet to Beryllius. The old name was Magnia, but it's too similar to all the Magnas in the Bionicle pre-existing canon, in my opinion, so I decided to change that to Beryllius, which I think is a pretty unique little title. And so now this guy and Incendia and Waylock are all Berylians, and they're all the same species, in case you didn't already know. So, without further ado, let's get into the design with the feet! The feet! Look at the beautiful feet! Oh my god, they're protector feet. Amazing. So yes, you all know that I absolutely adore protector feet. There's just so many great, well-placed connection points. There's straight-up connection points that were just like literally designed for toes. How amazing is that? What is on my finger? Oh, never mind. So anyhow, I don't think I took advantage of those connection points particularly amazingly here. But I do like the way these feet look nonetheless. They're pretty big, pretty wide. I kind of like that I took a small Bionicle foot and ended up making it into something sort of similar to some of the larger Bionicle feet, specifically the one type of a Nika foot with the claws. Like, this kind of reminds me of that, but it's custom built, and that's kind of neat. There's kind of some oddness to the color blocking here, which I guess I'll get to that later when we talk more about color blocking. The one big downside of these feet is they're pretty unstable because these heel bits can do this. So despite his feet being pretty big, he likes to rock back on his heels and almost kill himself on a regular basis. Talking about the legs are pretty similar to what they were before. Not necessarily in the way they look, but just in the way they're constructed. They're still completely plain CCBS, except for the third section, which is still that Mystica jet piece, which is a surprisingly nice piece for this use. I think it was a little plain before, but I added these Nuva shoulders, which actually help quite a lot with just sort of filling out sort of the back ankle kind of area, I guess is what that would be. I think the legs look a lot better, though. I think the big feet suit him decently well, and they're a lot better. His old feet were so weird. They had a spike on the heel that was attached with just a hand connector. I didn't realize until I picked up this MOC to update it just how weird some of its design choices were. So I'm glad that I finally got around to this. Anyhow, the legs have been bulked up a bit. Not only is there the Nuva shoulder, but I don't think this piece was here before. I'm pretty sure that was on his arms, which I think is unnecessary. He has much thinner arms now, and I think that helps. And just with his overall look. He has these nice little knee guards from the Glatorian Legends, and you can see that's the... Speaking of Glatorian, the orange scroll armor in there from 2016, golly. Love having those pieces in different colors, so fantastic. Thank you, LEGO. This is one of the big upsides of G2, is just the scroll armor alone. And we have some Paraka armor filling out the back. Not that you really notice it too much because of his skirt. Let's talk about the skirt, because the skirt is not your usual Watching Relic skirt, even though, you know, I do make a lot of skirts. This one has some uniqueness to it. Alright, so there's some neat connections in here. Some of them are pretty janky, but they're all surprisingly stable, actually. Before we get to that, in terms of the overall look, he does have a lot of sort of padding on the front, which I don't mind. I kind of like the depth of this Eaquaydo piece and the somewhat similar looking Hero Factory shield underneath. Seems almost samurai-like, sort of segmented, I guess would be the word. I think that turned out nice. There's a little trans blue stud underneath this piece, just attached right in there, and I really like that. Again, for color blocking reasons. That's a nice bit of color subtlety. And yeah, I think it's a little busy, but I kind of like it that way. It feels like something that would be on an older MOC with all these nice looking flex tubes. Flex tubes actually used well. That's always a nice thing. So in terms of interesting connections, well, first of all, I had too much flex tube. This particular one here specifically, or maybe it's this one. I don't remember. No, it's got to be this lower one here that goes through the Bittle shield on the butt. That one comes up, and I didn't know what to do with it. It was just sticking out, so I added this little Technic bit and this orange long barb, I think is what you would call that, or a tail piece. Is it a barb or a tail? I don't know where we draw the line on this anymore. And so, yeah, it's just, as you can see, shoved underneath this tube up here. And it stays in there. I mean, you can pull it out fairly easily, but it doesn't fall out too often. It has once or twice. Well, actually, I think just once. So yeah, that's not too bad of a connection at all. I think just because of where it is, it's not like it gets jostled around much. Now, the way that these big Hero Factory torso armor pieces with the old HF chest on it are actually attached, they're literally just frictioned in. Not even frictioned in, just tied down, essentially, with the tubes. The tubes in there, these actually, like, these pieces are just free jiggling around in there. And I straight up just, it was one of those situations where I was like, I just want these to go straight on the hips as tight and compactly as possible. So I'm straight up just gonna, I originally thought maybe a rubber band design, but this ended up working even better, I think, than that probably would have theoretically. I don't know. So in terms of the way that turned out, I think that's perfectly fine. And it does hinder hip articulation quite a lot. This is about as far as he can splay his hips, which isn't too bad, but then, like, forward and back is non-existent. I seem to make a lot of MOCs like that. The splaying is never too hindered, but the forward and back motion is usually kind of trash, so that's a shame. But again, articulation and stability is not always the biggest concerns with my builds, but sometimes I wonder if they're really good enough to justify ignoring those. So yeah, I don't think it's too bad here, but it could be better. A lot of things could be better. I think it's worth mentioning right now that I like this version a lot more than the old one, at least conceptually, but there's still some things in the execution that I'd like to change in the future. So this is not any kind of final perfect upgrade for this guy. This is part of his evolution at this moment in time. Alright, so I've ripped off the arms so we can get a better look at the torso, as I so often do. And yeah, I like this torso a lot, actually. I think it has a really nice just V shape to it, as you can see. Not a crazy narrow waist, and not crazy wide shoulders either, but just the way these big crystalline 2016 armor pieces are positioned really kind of helps with the way that looks. I'm gonna move my light a little out here, there we go. Yeah, I think it has a nice overall shaping to it. In general, an exaggerated V shape is kind of what you want for like a very muscular looking male torso. So I think that fits here. I also like that the ribcage piece is no longer really up on his chest. It's really part of his abdominal area now, which I think makes a heck of a lot more sense. It kind of looks like abs. I mean, I don't actually imagine these being ribs, like literally. For this character, they wouldn't be ribs exposed on the outside of his body, I don't think, anyway. So, yeah, I think that looks pretty nice. I like that he has built up in... He has a lot of little kind of things built into this. You got these little system bits with the studs on them. I like that because those used to be kind of collarbone bits, but now they're back behind his neck. And then he also has some little spikes in here, some little studs. I like that if you look underneath, you can kind of see how the connection works. Just got some Hordiconnects connecting these, and then that's where the ball joint for the shoulder is. And then this little assembly here is just connected to the actual ribcage piece. You can just about see how that's done. Just the way this is all kind of filled out is pretty satisfying for the most part. I think that I don't like this. There's just this big... Okay, well, that's another thing. But the way this looks there's quite a lot of gap just in here. I think that's a shame, and that could be done better. This piece can do that. So there's that. It's just this big honkin' connection to get it on there. And I really wanted to use this because I don't really like the way it looks from the back, just because the H is like weird and obvious. But it looks pretty nice from the front, just with these subtle little spikes sticking up. That's really what I did it for. I really like the way those look, as subtle as they might be. Like, they're not a huge thing, but I don't know. I wanted to use this piece, and it fit pretty well on the back as well. And once it's all like moved down, the whole thing is pretty compact and solid for the most part. We got a little Eaquaydo armor with, again, some blue underneath, so color blocking, we'll get to that, and the Bitchel shield, so he has silver all down the back. That's kind of one of the big noticeable things about the color blocking is the silver cape, I guess you could call it. I don't know if it'd really be a cape, it kind of sticks to his back. It's not really free-flowing or anything. The way the abdomen is built, let me kind of flip everything out here. He's going to be a transformer now. Oh, we broke it. So, anyhow, you can see the way the waist is constructed is just a lot of little bones. We have 3 of the shortest CCBS bones on either side, and they go up to connect to some ball joints in here that connect to some Technic bits that everything else branches off of. It's nothing too unique to comment about that, but I do like the use of CCBS in an abdomen. I had this idea because one of my big complaints with the old version, and this isn't something that would ordinarily bug me, but there was something about this MOC where I just did not like the way it looked. He had a very, like, square torso, a very little curvature. Not square, but just lots of straight edges. Not a lot of, like, arching back type curvature. And so I'm glad that I was able to work in some more stuff like that, and I think his back is coming apart a little bit. I'll be, no pun intended, right back when he's back together. Alright, so there we go. So yes, torso is pretty neat. Head, nothing too much to comment on. I have made it so that the saber-toothed tiger thing is no longer actually his face. It's like an actual head cap from an animal that he would wear, kind of a witch doctor-like sort of stylization, or like a tribal medicine man type thing going on. I think that's kind of neat. The head itself is like, it could be a lot better, and using the Baraki eyes is definitely questionable. So, the arms too, I'm not even really going to go over. As usual, they're pretty plain, but they're plain and simple for a reason, and we'll get to that right now. Let's talk about color blocking. It's time. It's actually time, people. So, I've been alluding to the color blocking on this MOC the whole time. If you saw the slideshow and were paying any kind of attention, you probably already know exactly what's going on, but I'm going to talk about it a little nonetheless, just to kind of say it a little more explicitly. So, this guy, he has blue skin. The blue is supposed to be his skin, but I think the gray is also his skin. So blue and gray are his underlying colors. In the color layering, they are the innermost bits, and they represent primarily his bare skin. The silver is meant to be clothing, and so is the orange. Those are the outer layers. And so if we take those two things into account, that blue and gray are skin, and silver and orange are clothing or armament or pelts or something, he is essentially a dude with kind of a silver cape with some bits coming down the shoulders that runs all the way down his back like a cape traditionally does, but he's mostly shirtless. Shirtless with a cape and with gloves, since they're silver fingers, so I guess silver-gray type gloves. And then he has an orange skirt and orange pants. The only bit of color blocking that's really weird, and I was talking about this earlier, is the toes because they're blue. So I guess he's wearing sandals. That's what I said in a comment after posting this guy, is that his toes they've got to be sticking out of his shoes, just logically. So that's that. Talking about his overall look, as long as we're zoomed out here to sort of wrap up, I like his overall look. I think he has, some more bulky, compact-looking legs. I like the overall look of the skirt. Uh-oh, just as I was saying, these are stable. One of them popped out. There we go. So, in general, I think he looks nice. I think the torso has a good shape to it. When you actually have the arms attached, you do realize that the V shape kind of extends above the shoulders, so he definitely looks like his shoulders are a little low. They are a little low, but I don't mind it because I imagine this as being some silver fabric kind of bunched up on his shoulders. I think that works, generally speaking. Yeah, I like the color blocking. I think it could be executed better. This was sort of my first venture into that, and that's kind of one of the major things of this MOC, is I haven't done too much color blocking and color layering, but I think it turned out pretty nice. Overall, it's not perfect, because I didn't have a perfect plan. Mostly the blue skin shirtless guy in orange pants was the vague plan, and as gray and silver came in, things got broken up a little. But it's not too bad. So, in conclusion, we got his staff, by the way, which is simple, so I don't really need to talk about it, but I will show it because it's quite nice looking, like, dang. I couldn't decide if I want to say dang or damn, so it came out dang, in case you were wondering. So, yes, I think this guy is a big improvement on the old version. I do, and I think the color blocking was fun, not perfectly done, but a fun experiment. Really, this MOC as a whole could kind of be described as that. So, let me quickly go grab the size comparisons. The old traditions are not exactly the same. We still have the minifigures, which you can't see. There we go. But I'm going to bring in a 1.0 hero instead of an Eaquaydo build. Just for fun. So that is that. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or criticisms, feel free to mention them down in the comments below. That is Eaquaydo. There's your size comparison. Version 2, heck yeah, he's looking pretty good. Version 2 of the size comparisons, too. What a frickin' upgrade. And I am the Watching Relic. I will see you all next time.